We live. Happy Sunday, everyone.
If you knew the you that you don't know, you'd love yourself from head to toe. You'd never be too sad or low. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you saw the you that you don't see, you will feel so differently. You'd be as happy as can be if you saw the you that you don't see. You say, what a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you heard the you that you don't hear, all the doubt would disappear. 'Cause you're so charming and sincere. Yeah, the you that you don't hear. What a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. You may not see it for yourself. It's just everybody else. When the earth is old and cold and gray, and we're out beyond the Milky Way, who shall lead humanity? Well, I'd send to you that you don't see. And they'll say, what a human, what a friend, what a model citizen. You know why the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know, just how the people love you so. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you knew the you that you don't know. If you knew the you that you don't know. Hey, happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's so good to see you. I see some people that I haven't seen in a while. What joy that is. We look like we're a small, mighty group today. It must be Labor Day, or the bus isn't here yet, or whatever the case may be. But anyway, I'm just thrilled that you guys are here. I'm really excited about today for a couple things, because September always seems to be a really magical month for me. It's a month of new beginnings, you know, whether it's people starting school or starting processes of that kind of stuff. You know, in some cultures, it's the beginning of the year. I want to talk a little bit about farming, probably not farming, honestly, gardening, and how that sits in there as well. So we got a lot of things coming down, and we're just going to bless those who are here today and those who are not here today. But I want to kind of start, so two things. First, I just want to honestly say that I'm kind of working through something right now, and it's kind of a big process. I think it's a life-changing event I'm in, and I won't get into the details. It has something to do with, I was with some friends at dinner the other night, and one of them left in an ambulance to the hospital, and everything is okay. So there's nothing bad, there's no grief, there's none of that. But, you know, it's one of those yeah, it certainly got my attention. So anyway, I'm processing this. This is a friend of mine that I've known since high school. So, and that was a long, long time ago. So that's up. But the other thing, probably more at immediate level, is about less than 2 hours ago, Uranus went retrograde. And that's kind of a big thing. It wants to shake things up. It wants to organize things differently. And so my thought is that we'll shake up services a little bit today in honor of that. And then one other thing, I guess there's three things, not two things. I have always wanted a mystery school. And it just dawned on me, Guy, if you want a mystery school, why don't you just start one? So here we are, 1st of September, new beginnings. Welcome into the esoterica of it all. And we're going to start with a thought that I have that I just want to banter with. So we've been playing with this idea for the last couple weeks. But it's one that I think is really important, dare I say even foundational. And it is this. And it comes from, some great metaphysical teachings. It is this: to learn concentration without effort, to transform work into play, to make the burdens that you have accepted light and the yoke you carry easy. Sit on those thoughts. Concentration without effort. Work into play. Our burdens are easy and our yoke is light. So this morning, when I was having this brilliant idea, I texted members of the platform crew this morning and asked them if they would share some things on that. And then I'll share out some things, and then maybe we'll get some thoughts from you. So we'll go with Jim when I make that statement, or what triggers for you when I say that?
I have a mic today.
You have a mic today. All righty.
Yeah, it was a great question you asked me this morning. It got me thinking. It was a fun conversation in the shower at that point.
Good.
But I think the idea of effortless concentration played really well into what I teach on Taoism, because a lot with Taoism is focused on being natural or spontaneous, and having things flow from more of a natural way as opposed to contriving it. So I see that, but in terms of how do you transform essentially the mundane into something that is playful, another key concept is essentially to take the moral judgments out of everything, which sounds very strange, but what it leaves you with is the ability to have more of a radical acceptance of everything that happens, not from the perspective of do nothing, but from the perspective of, now I have a situation, what am I going to do next, as opposed to now I'm stuck in this problem and how do I wrestle with it? And so that opens up more of the possibilities, and also being able to see the connection between the mundane and those larger goals helps me to find maybe more of a joy in being able to do them. Play is not a word I would normally use, but I find more the significance in it.
We're going to work on that one, Jim.
Yeah. I'm a little too serious, I guess. Yeah.
If you're not playing, you're not taking life serious.
I think it's a definition thing, because I see this every time I see you, you're playing. So.
Yeah. So that's me.
That's you. How about you, Lee?
Okay, so I like to think of, when you ask me how do I get to my quick version of contemplation, I think about, my go-to is kind of space and space science, and we've all heard of a time lapse, like time lapse photography, where you've seen the sunset where the sun goes really quickly. And so I like to think in space-time lapse, where I go back to the Big Bang and all the chemicals that went into space, and then in a split second I think of that whole existence of the Big Bang to chemicals mixing in the space, to the earth, to life forming, to this here. And the best way for me to remember that is looking at the moon or the sun or the stars. And so it's just this quick way to go, all that quick evolution into this moment and the miracle that we are to be here. It just puts me back into that flow state of like, wow, gratitude, amazement, awe, and getting back into just existing as this this beast, this creature that happened out of all of that. And some of even this acknowledging that even the stress, even the tough stuff, is just a part of that that space-time lapse.
Cool. So I'm going to give an example, then I'll go to you, Laura.
Real quick, I was just going to say,
Sure.
when I think of Lee, I definitely think of Beast.
So a playful beast over here in this corner, and we got a lovely Laura here. But, I had this thought, this is kind of where I had this thought, I was on my way to the gym. And, and it was like transforming work into play. Because, it's like, why am I going to the gym? Is it just one more way for me to hate myself? Oh, it's my body. Oh, it's this. I got to be in shape. I got to strengthen my heart. What if I just did something because I enjoyed doing it? And that was it. I'm going to the gym. Self-care is not about making us wrong. Self-care is about how we find joy, fun, playfulness, enrichment in our life. And the burden is light. I think about that. I think, what are the burdens that I have? Well, I have a mortgage, I have a family, I have this, I've got a yard that I'll talk about later. But, all those things, when I think about the people in my family that I love, and when I think about my home, the idea is it's light, it's airy, it's enjoyable. You know what I'm saying there? So it's a burden that becomes very light when we just put it in perspective. And that brings us to Reverend Laura. What are your thoughts?
Well, the teachings that I grew up with for the past 40 years, and I mean grew up, the old ways were drama and this is hard or it'll never happen. And through the teachings of Science of Mind, it taught me that it's all about my intention before I go into it. So whether it's easy or hard, we're not just dealing with it as it comes. We're living it. So we've dedicated our lives to living in easy joy, in easy peace. And so no matter what comes my way, my little mantra is, this is easy. Done it before. If you've ever gone through a list of everything you've gone through in your life that seemed like a burden, isn't it easy now? Isn't it so much easier? And that's my take on it, is just to take it easy. There's been hundreds of songs written on that one.
I'm thinking of one right now.
Yeah, see? Thank you.
So here I'm going to ask Paul to be our mic runner for the morning, and just to check in with you guys. So here's going to be the ground rule. As I was listening to everybody, here's the ground rule. They have to be I statements. So when I think of making my burden easy, I think of. When I experience concentration with effort, I think of. So any takers on this? Anybody want to share a thought? There's Gary in the back there. So we're going to ask for the mic so that those in the virtual world can hear the questions. Yeah, you're going to have to be a little faster there, Paul.
Well, you know what the kind of work that I do. So every day I'm dealing with sadness, fear, chaos. So I just see God in everything, no matter what.
Yeah,
I see God.
yeah.
Guy asked me one time, how do you do this work every day and sit here and listen to this every day? Because I just see God. I don't see bad, I don't see good, I don't see evil, I don't see any of that. Everything's God. That's
Beautiful. Beautiful. I think Esther had her hand up there.
The most important thing that I discovered and live with is your head is a computer. You don't go there. You go to your heart. Your heart knows everything. You go and say, so now what? And the answers come. It's amazing. Everybody has this, but a lot of people don't know about it. Your heart's developing everything for you.
Cool.
And you listen and
Love
you
it.
guide.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Thoughts on this? Yes, Magdalena. By the way, you were lovely last week, Magdalena. Thank you for performing. It was great having you.
For me, I've learned humility through asking for help.
Yeah,
Makes the burdens lighter.
it does, doesn't it? Yeah. Many hands make easy work. Yeah, that's a trite saying, but there's some great truth in that. Yeah, asking for help. Anyone else? Yes, Larry.
When I get sideways, so to speak, I always think of the animals that I've had, and it keeps my heart open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want you to sit with these questions because I want to explore them all month. So, this whole month, think about concentration without effort. And, in the tarot, the symbol of that is the batulor, the magician. But in the early decks, he's kind of in a balancing act, or a tightrope walker. He is fully concentrating, but there's no effort in it. He's just allowing himself. So, ponder these things, see where they show up in your life, and let's kind of explore it for the month. But as we go, I'm going to invite Laura to pray us in and bring us into meditation.
If you don't know by now, good morning. I am Reverend Laura Di Donato, your practitioner of the day. If this is your first time, welcome. I see familiar faces, so I don't know. And if I haven't met you, please tap me on the shoulder afterwards, or any of us, and I'd like to get to know you. All right, so let's turn to the people next to us, the loving people next to us, and say good morning. All right, let's go to that beautiful place within with 3 deep breaths. Breathing in and out. Breathing in, I am. Out, God is. One more, I am. God is. Wow. The vibration, the power, the love of God is us, as us, and through us. How wonderful to know that we are all one heart, one consciousness, one mind. We are all connected through this love. I welcome my life of love and joy and ease. I love what I do. I love what I create. And I love what I give. The light in me shines through my creativity. The joy of what I create. I have peace of mind knowing that the universe, spirit, has my back. Spirit is always there, not far away, but just a whisper away. And with this peace that I have in my heart and in my mind, knowing that life is easy. If we want the drama, yes, go for it. But I choose easy. I choose easy. And balance and harmony. And that power within to heal myself or heal others is always available and continuously healing all by itself if we let it. I claim joy in my life. I speak with joy. My thoughts are through joy, and my actions are through joy with a playful heart. And the beauty in my life is everywhere, in every face I see, in the eyes that I make contact with, the beauty and the trust and the gratefulness. With a loving heart, I welcome this morning with the beautiful music of Lee Coulter and Jim, and the wonderful wisdom of Reverend Dr. Guy and his amazing message this morning, bringing us full confidence in how we live our lives, the tools we need, and the guidance. And I am so grateful. So grateful. With a big heart, I release into the law of mind. And together we say, and so it is. This morning's quote is by Jennifer Williamson. You plant seeds every single day in the world and in others, with every thought you think and the word you speak and the action you take. You have influence. You are making a difference in the universe, and you matter in a very real way. I love that quote. And now a very special time for all of us together. It's a 3-minute contemplation where we can move into that spiritual garden within, maybe pull some weeds, maybe send some love to loved ones, and of course sending love to ourselves. And now let's take a deep breath and 3 minutes of peace. Let's take a nice deep breath and be here now. And so it is.
Something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there and telling me I got to beware. Think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds, getting so much resistance from behind. It's time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. For the heat, 1,000 people in the street, singing songs and they're carrying signs, mostly say hooray for outside. It's time to stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Paranoia strikes deep into your life. It will creep. It starts when you're always afraid. Step out of line, the men come and take you away. We better stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Thank you. Please welcome Reverend Dr. Guy Williams. Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Man, good call. That was Jim's idea.
For what it's worth. One person got that. Thank you, Mark. One old hippie to the next. Okay, so very good. So our theme for this month is planting the seeds of our intentions, what to grow and what to throw. And it kind of comes from, we're getting ready to do some things in our yard, and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about when I first moved to Fallbrook back in 2005. And when I was here, I had this granny flat, and I'm a city boy. I was living in Hillcrest before I moved to Fallbrook, and if you've never been to Hillcrest, it's like the opposite of Fallbrook. So there I was, and I thought, I'm going to grow a garden. That's what I'm going to do, because that's what you do. And I had the pleasure of knowing a guy by the name of Jerry Weiss. Anybody remember Jerry Weiss? Yeah, love Jerry. Actually, that's how Andrea and I met, was through Jerry, actually through his memorial. But so Jerry was this character. He was a remarkable man. He was a farmer, an organic farmer, and quite successful at it. And there's a lot, I could go on and on and on about those stories. But Jerry was going to mentor me in planting my vegetable garden. Now I want to caveat this. This was a professional organic farmer. So he says, well, let's do hay bales, straw bales. So I went out and I got straw bales, and then I got soil, and loaded my truck up a couple times with that, and we did this and we did that, and I planted my garden, And at the time I had these two really big dogs, a lab and a lab Rottweiler mix. And they would be where I lived was kind of a loose rural area, and all the dogs kind of ran around loose and got along with each other. So they would play and they would chase coyotes, and then they would go into suspended animation during the day, and the squirrels would just back a truck up and load everything from the garden into that. And Jerry says, well, you need to do this, and you need to do that. And then I had birds, and he says, well, you hang CDs on this thing. Oh my goodness gracious. And so one morning, so my writing table, where I write in the morning, or where I used to write in this place, was up above, and I could look down on this thing. And one morning, I'm looking down at this, I don't know what it was. It had CDs, it had sticks, it had this, it had anything but vegetables growing in it. And I just looked at this thing, and it was just like, this is sad, because it lacked beauty. It was, when I would go to write, I was not inspired. I was despondent as I would look at this thing there. And you know, and what I thought about that is, so first of all, before I get back into Jerry, is there is a great metaphysical truth that says that there should be wisdom to conceive, strength to support, and beauty to adorn any important undertaking. It should have wisdom. It should incorporate strength, and it should have beauty. In fact, I know that you're thinking about this, Aristotle himself talks about how beauty or truth is found in beauty. And if something lacks beauty, it lacks a level of truth in it. I was thinking about this as I was also thinking about the Navajo, because the Navajo have a beautiful blessing. And when they're coming or going, what they say is, may you walk in beauty. Don't you love that? May you walk in beauty. In fact, what I want you to do right now is quietly to yourself, think of someone you know or someone that you want to know, and just now say quietly to yourself, as a blessing to them, may you walk in beauty. May you walk in beauty. Is that a beautiful statement? You know, one of the blessings, I had this great opportunity to travel in the Southwest on my motorcycle and go through Navajo country. And there's a statement there, a saying, a blessing that says, beauty stands before me. Beauty stands behind me. Beauty is on my left. Beauty is on my right. Beauty is above me. Beauty is below me. I am on the pollen path. I love that. I am on the pollen path. Beauty is before me. It is behind me. It's to my left. It's to my right. It's above me. Below me. I am on the pollen path. The path of life. The path of vitality. The path of nurturing. The path of seeds themselves. And that brings me back to Jerry. Because one of the things that Jerry taught me, first of all, let me get back to something else. Something that Goethe says is this, or Schopenhauer says this. He says, all that is in the physical world is a metaphor. All that we see, all that we experience is a metaphor. It's a metaphor that connects us into the invisible world as well. So what Jerry used to say when he was teaching me how to plant is this, is that whenever you're planting in a garden, you plant 3 seeds. One for the crow, one for the hoe, and one to grow. 3 seeds. One for the crow, one for the hoe, and one to grow. So you're probably at this point thinking, what is he talking about? Well, in metaphysics, what we understand is this idea of our intentions are like seeds that we plant. In fact, if you read in the Christian Bible, there's a whole dissertation that Jesus gives on the parable of the sower, right? And this parable of the sower is this beautiful metaphysical story of a sower that goes out and he sows seeds, and some of the seeds go on the road and they are trampled and nothing ever happens to them. And some of the seeds go into rocky soil and they're just never able to take root. And some seeds are cast with the brambles, and even though they grow, they are eventually choked. And some seeds go into fertile ground and they produce an abundance of fruit. Now Jesus wasn't talking about farming or gardening. He was talking about something deeper, more personal, something to each and every one of us. The seeds of our intentions, the things that we plant in order to grow, our thoughts, our perception of how things are. And in that, I think that this metaphor, for me, I want to play with. I want to massage a little bit. So when we think in terms of our intentions or the things that we're wanting to do, we realize that one of the things that we plant are those for the crow. Well, what does that mean? So the crow is like a trickster, right? The crow in lots of indigenous cultures, the crow is trickster. You know, crow is the one who steals fire in the Athabascans, and he's tricky in the Celtic world, and you know he's always up to something. And to me, what that means is sometimes in our life there are just whammies. There are things that are unpredictable, unplanned. We don't have control over them, and some things just go. We may want something, but it is taken from us somehow or another, that we don't have control over that. I thought about this week. You know, my friend, he's fine, he's well and all that, but there was a moment, man, when we were thinking, my other buddy and I were looking at each other thinking, you know, this is not good. This is not good, man. And what it got me thinking is our own mortality. Yeah, that worked out well, but you know what? Someday, somebody I love is going to leave in an ambulance, or something is going to happen, and I don't have control over these things. None of us do have controls. We live in an unfinished, imperfect universe where stuff happens, man. It just happens. That's the crow. And so in some of our seeds that we plant, we have to recognize, you know, that there's going to be events that are going to go on that are beyond our control. And what do? We let them go. We let them go. We can't chase after them. We can't make things change. It's just what is, right? And you all have those experiences. We all have crows in our life, right? There's a crow. There's probably an intention that you have or had plucked by the crow, right? And what do? What do we do? The other thing is we have the hoe. And the hoe is that wonderful concept or piece of wisdom that says, this isn't yours to do. This isn't yours to do. So you may have intentions on this, but they aren't yours. And so don't give your energy to them. Let me give you a personal example of that. I'll tell you what's not mine to do, even though it is my drug of choice. And that's politics. My job is not to right this country or this world by any particular political persuasion. It isn't mine. It isn't mine to do. Now, it may amuse me, it may entertain me, it may raise my blood pressure, it may do a lot of things, but the less time I dwell on something that isn't mine to do, I can spend more time on what's to grow, what is mine to do. That's that third seed. Let's take a deep breath right now. And let me just see, for fun, Paul, you ready with a mic? I want to see how many people have planted a seed that now belongs to the crow, and they'd be willing to share a moment with you. Anybody insight? Raise your hand if you're willing to share about a crow. Any crows? There's a crow back there.
Good morning, I'm Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca.
I have a couple boxes when I moved that I finally found out never arrived at my house. So I just have to let go of the TRX bands and my grandpa's 70s lamp.
Yeah.
Say, okay, someone else get it, blessed be.
Yeah. Is that how it is, right? Yeah. You know, one time I was traveling on a train and I was heading from where was I going? I was going from Spain. No, I was going from France to Spain. And I had a leather jacket. And in my leather jacket, I had a little book of Emerson essays and my Swiss Army knife. And that was what I traveled with, man. This was my leather jacket. And I left it on the train. Gone. So all I could do is bless it and hope that some young person traveling was cold and had a jacket and now has a Swiss Army knife and lectures on Emerson, and maybe that changed their life. But I had to let it go, man. That was the crow. That's the crow right there. Any other crows? Crow. Yes.
Keeping it real here, I think one of my biggest learning experiences of my whole life, and anyone that's gone through something like this, is divorce. And you can be idealistic and you can think you're doing all the right things and making all the right moves, and that's one of those big crows that, like, when you realize that, you know, even that can, you know, for whatever reasons go apart, you just got to really dig deep and figure out how to let that crow go. Yeah,
and there's great teaching in that. You know, how many people do we have control over? Nobody. Nobody. No crow. Any more crows? Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the story of Job.
Okay.
Like
Is
when
this personal?
Job lost. Yeah. So for me, it's like I feel like my life is slow. Like I get older and I mature, and that's part of like kind of going, you know. So as I get older, you know, like I can remember 10 years ago being here, and we were all 10 years younger. But as life goes on, you know, we all kind of lose something.
We do. So I'm looking over in our congregation, and I can recognize several faces that are looking at you, Paul, as you're saying, as I'm getting older, and they're saying, isn't that adorable? Isn't that cute? He's getting older. That's so sweet. So, one for the hoe. One for the hoe. What have you realized isn't yours to do? Any takers on that? What have you realized? What have you come to a realization? Anybody want to share? Anybody want to come to a realization of something that they recognize? You know what? I am giving a lot of energy to this, and it's not mine. Nobody, huh? I'm the only one on that one. Too long, yeah. So, and then one to grow. One to grow. Thomas Troward has this really beautiful statement in the Edinburgh Lectures. And by the way, for those of you who don't know who Thomas Troward is, Thomas Troward was this brilliant English metaphysician. And he really was foundational in the writings of the metaphysics of New Thought. In fact, Ernest Holmes, who started our particular denomination, got his start literally on giving lectures on Troward. And he's brilliant. He was born in India, studied in England, went back to India and worked as a judge in the British occupation of India, and then after his retirement went back to England and wrote metaphysics. Really interesting guy, and he writes like a jurist, which means sometimes he makes you dizzy. Sometimes you think, you know, that sentence is about 4 paragraphs. You could use a period or two or a comma in that. But anyway, he says something in the Edinburgh Lectures, which I think is really interesting. He writes this. He says, the principle of growth is that of the inherent vitality of the seed itself. And the operations of the gardener have their exact analog in mental science. So what he's saying is, he says, there's a compatibility between mental science and gardening. And it has to do with the seeds themselves. And here's the thing about the seeds, the intentions, those things that we want to do, they have the intelligence in them. When you plant an acorn, you don't have to tell the acorn how to do anything. Just, it will do it, you know? And if you plant a tomato, it will grow into a tomato. It will not be a pear or a peach. It will be because there is something within the seed itself that already knows. That's what he's saying there. He's saying that the principle of growth is that of the inherent vitality of the seed itself. And the operations of the gardener have their exact analog in mental science. And what does he mean by that? He goes on, we do not put the self-expansive vitality into the seed, but we must sow it. And we must also, so to speak, water it by quiet, concentrated contemplation of the desire as an actual accomplished fact. But we must carefully remove from such contemplation any idea of strenuous effort on our part to make the seed grow. The efficacy is in helping to keep out those negative thoughts of doubt which would plant tares among our wheat, and therefore, instead of anything of effort, such contemplation should be accompanied by a feeling of pleasure and restfulness in foreseeing a certain accomplishment of our desires. In other words, contemplation without effort. Contemplation without effort. What's brilliant about Thomas Troward is there's many things about him, but he was able to articulate some really deep metaphysical teachings, and one of them is the idea of the spiritual or mental prototype. And what he means by that is, the muse may speak to us. It may call us. Pierre Teilhard says that this divine presence lures us, invites us, draws us. And as we respond to it, it reveals the seeds of these intentions that have already the wisdom and intelligence in them. And so we plant these seeds, and our job is not trying to figure out how to do it or make it happen or that will come. Our job is to nurture it, to water it in a quiet contemplation. What Troward talks about, and this goes all the way back to early Hermeticism, is we create within the realm of the imagination. The imagination is the most powerful superpower that each and every one of us has here. It's the ability to create something that may not even exist, or to organize it in such a way that we want. And so we work in the power of the imagination. In fact, Guillermo Kerma says this. He says, in creative magic, the imagination of all things well-defined, pictorial, chiseled in their finer and detailed particulars, is a will in action. It is creation. The imaginative power tends to exercise this form of realization of the will to perfection. All intervolitional activities are in the plasticized imagination of the human. Imagine well, and you will develop prodigious powers of the will to create. In other words, exercise the imagination, work in the imagination, powerful in the imagination. And what Troward is saying is this is how we nurture those seeds, right? We see these things, we see the possibility, because what we're doing, literally the brain science behind this, is we are reprogramming those neural pathways of how we perceive things, because what we know, one of the first laws in metaphysics is what? What we perceive is what we experience. What we perceive is what we experience. And Esther said a few moments ago, the mind is the brain, the mind is a computer, and I love her, and I will respectfully disagree. The mind is not a computer, and the mind is not like a computer. The mind existed before the computer. Computers are a little like the mind, but the mind is nothing like a computer. It is beyond that. It is that which plugs into the infinite ground of being itself. Mind, presence, intelligence was there, as it says in the book of Proverbs, at the very beginning of all things. It is not mechanical. It is not even rational. That is an aspect of it. But it's more profound than that. It is God in action in our lives. Mind. And we can access this through the power of our own imagination. And I don't mean imagination like fantasy, like, oh, I'm going to win the lottery or something like that. But really that idea of allowing that intelligence to come and speak to us in quiet contemplation. They say that God's first language is silence. God's first language is silence. And contemplation without effort means the capacity to be in silence, to be without distraction. And in that place, begin to construct and begin to perceive, how is my life enhanced by allowing this seed to grow? How does my life shift and change? And eventually what begins to happen without effort, and what I mean by that is not like self-hating yourself and beating yourself with a stick that you got to do this and you got to do that, but all of a sudden, how we subtly shift and change, how we begin to behave in such a way that we create the space for the thing that we are yearning for or is yearning for us to come to us, right? Because, how do I want to say this? We have to be in the place to receive that which is calling us. And if we are distracted going hither and thither and thither, we miss it. But, as Emerson says, when we allow ourselves to be in this state of consciousness, doors begin to open where heretofore no doors existed. I'm sure that each and every one of you has had that experience, right? Where all of a sudden, you're supposed to make a right turn, but you make a left turn instead. You're sitting next to somebody on a plane and you think this is the last person that I want to talk to. Or whatever the story may be, something that's just kind of random. And all of a sudden, that encounter seems to be one of the most important things. And not only that, it's the answer to a question you have been holding. You know what I'm talking about? You guys have had these experiences? Right? All of a sudden, when we're on the pollen path, truth reveals itself to us in beauty. And so the practice of concentration without effort is analogous to that of tending the garden. In tending the garden, we recognize this. We are nurturing, bringing forth vitality, wisdom, intelligence, beauty into the things that we are called to tend to. And in doing that, we recognize that some things have to go. Some things have to go. There's a metaphysical interest that's really interesting. Carolyn Mace talks about this, where she talks about, you pray for prosperity and you lose your job, and you go like, what the fuck is that all about? Or you pray for love and your partner dumps you. Or you pray for health and you get sick, and you're like, what is going on? And what she says, and something that Emma Curtis Hopkins says too, is, once we begin to vibrate on the pollen path, things become very viscous. And that job was the very thing that was keeping us from the prosperity we were seeking. That relationship was keeping us for the fullness of love that we wanted. That disease, that illness was the thing that woke us up to take authority back into our health. And so that is the pollen path. That is the path of beauty, of being able to follow in that way. And so we contemplate with quiet contemplation. And so those things that belong to the crow, let the crow have them. Because I know somewhere in Spain, my fantasy is there is a young American whose life was transformed because he was cold and he found this fabulous leather jacket in the train. And as he was digging in the pockets, there was Emerson. Wow. And he had a Swiss Army knife to boot, so, W.C. Fields says he one time went camping and they left their corkscrew home and they had to survive on food and water. I know that problem. And that young man, it was a blessing. So what belongs to the crow? Let the crow have it. What belongs to the hoe? What distracts you? What is keeping you from the thing that you are yearning for most? What opportunity to hate yourself about something, is it really time to give up? What is it like to turn work into play by letting go of what's no longer necessary? And then what is ours to grow? What is ours to nurture? And how do we nurture it? With quiet contemplation, weeding away, working at it, taking the next indicated step, making a daily advancement, knowing always that in anything that we are called to do, that it is important that there be wisdom to guide us, to waken us, to give us strength to support us along the way, and beauty to adorn every good, important, and lovely thing in our life. Beauty is before us. Beauty is behind us. It is to our left. It is to our right. It is above us. It is below us. We are all on the pollen path. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thanks, Rev. All right, I want to sing my little meta sing-along here. We'll do a little refresher of this chorus if you want to do your best to sing along here. The chorus goes, anyone under the sun. Can I hear that? Anyone under the sun. Anyone under the moon. Anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. I hope you feel some loving soon. Anyone under the sun. Anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. There's an ancient fear creeping here. There's an air of yesteryear. It may never disappear. Let's draw these lines so very clear. Anyone under the sun. Anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. They know just how to make us fight. Our evolution's black and white. The truth is where you shine your light, so we can see who has the right. Anyone under the sun. Anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. They say we got these separate ways. Then you watch how power plays. Now all I know and all I see is I am you and you are me. Anyone under the sun. Anyone under the moon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. I send my love out to you. I hope you feel some loving soon. You sound so beautiful.
Most of you know that I own a dance company for 50 years now, working with tens of thousands of kids and adults. But I also, to supplement so that we can have a lavish costuming for our shows, is I Uber drive at night. And it's definitely a giving career. Yeah. One of the things I love to do is plant spiritual seeds when necessary. If they get in the car and they're crying, or they get in the car and they're sad, or, whatever the situation, I get to plant a spiritual seed without them knowing it. So I don't go into lecturing or anything like that. Now, I also am there to listen. They know I'm a neutral person. They'll probably never see me again. So guess what? Everyone shares their stories. Everyone. And so I get to connect with people from all over the world, from places that are in distress and places that are beautiful. So one of the things that happens while I'm listening, if I realize they can't even afford the ride because of the situation they're sharing, I turn off the meter without them knowing. And they'll know it when they get home and look at their phone and realize, why did that ride only cost $1? What's going on? So, again, I get to give seeds of love to people. And now it's our turn to pay it forward. And let's hold our offerings to our heart. Yes. Or your hands full of love. We are overjoyed with the wonderful message this morning, full of tools and beautiful, beautiful wisdom that we can carry throughout the day, this week, and the rest of our lives. We are overjoyed with the energy and intention of deep, deep givingness, that money, that seed money that grows as it moves through life. Knowing that we are giving to our spiritual community, watching it grow, our spiritual home, watching it grow, and knowing that as we give, we always receive. And so it is.
So it is.
Couple things. One is, if your heart has been touched in any way, please do not leave without prayer. Prayer is what we are here for, and it's what we love to do. And there are different ways to take advantage of that. One is you can see one of our practitioners, either Andrea over there or Paul or Laura, and just go up to them and say, do you have a moment to pray with me? And I'll bet you $1 they'll say yes. And then also about 10 minutes after service, after you grab a little bite to eat, Laura will be doing a prayer circle in the Emerson room, so you can go in there and have some prayer that way. Also, just to let you know that we have activities that go on during the week and more. 12:30 on Wednesday, Paul leads a meditation, which is a very sweet way just to kind of be in the silence. Jim has a class on Sunday mornings at 9 o'clock on the Tao. If there's anything that you want to say about that, other than, Guy, you got it right this time. You're good?
He's good.
Yeah. So anyway, that's and you can come anytime. It's a walk-in, stay in, enjoy the way. I'm going to be doing a membership class in September. I've just got to work out my calendar because I got some travel dates here and there, and so once we do that, that will be on Zoom. And then after that, during the fall, I'm going to be doing a class on spiritual practices, which will also be on Zoom as well. It seems that's the world that we live in. I prefer personally having in-person classes, but right now the crow is telling me Zoom. So there you have that. So those things are coming down the line. We got all kinds of things. I want to thank, I'm looking at Dick. I know that Karen just went in there. There's bread, and they get this bread from Panera every week. and it is for you to take home and enjoy. I was saying that I was calling Dick San Antonio de Pan, St. Anthony of the bread, because St. Anthony is the patron of bakers. So we have that archetype living here in our community. I want to thank, let's see, who's the three amigos were down there, Steve and Mike and Jeff, who were back there at the sound booth making things sound good and look good. So thank you for that. Always, Lee, it's a pleasure to have you always every week. And Laura, it was great having you on the platform. Jim, always thank you. Paul, thank you for running and doing the things you did. Our greeters today were Karen and Larry. Did you have anybody greeting with you? You were the ones. You were the greetings. So you got greeted by that. Do check out the gift shop. There's some fun stuff in there. There's some really good coffee. Really good. That's a whole other story that I'll tell you another time about the coffee, but it was a good one. So anyway, that's all the things that are there. Hopefully, if this is your first time, I'd love to meet you out there. But let us pray. And I'm going to offer this as our closing prayer today. And you get to say it if you want to, and if you don't, just quietly receive it. But just breathe in with me. And say after me, beauty is before me.
Beauty is before me.
Beauty is behind me.
Beauty is behind me.
Beauty is to my left.
Beauty is to my left.
Beauty is to my right.
Beauty is to my right.
Beauty is above me.
Beauty is above me.
Beauty is below me. I am on the pollen path.
I am on the pollen path.
So, may your path be filled with beauty. And so it is.
So it is. So a little birdie told me it's a special day on Tuesday. Someone's birthday. Our own Reverend Guy is his birthday on Tuesday. So I won't put him on the spot. I won't put him on the spot with any happy birthday, but I'm going to dedicate this song that I wrote about people coming through. And if you want to sing along in the thank you part, let's do that. We just want to say thanks for all the late nights putting these thought puzzles together for us. All your wisdom and obvious insight is so helpful to all of us. So thank you. I may be one man in the microphone, but I didn't get here on my own. Mama taught me my first song and brother let me sing along when they didn't have to. We hear it every day. This world has gone astray. They wanna be the first to tell you it's getting worse, but what they don't tell you is people coming through, coming through, coming through. People like you and you and you. You didn't have to, but you do, but you do. You keep on coming through, coming through, coming through. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Thank you. Reverend Guy, I'm singing to you. Yeah, you. Thank you. Yeah, you. People coming through. To the teachers and creators, to the givers and caretakers, enterprises 9 to 5ers, we're all just earth survivors. And I feel alive, yeah. To everyone who helped me along, who listened to my song, who made these strings I strum and who made this microphone. Well, I know who. It's those people coming through, coming through, coming through. People like you and you and you. You didn't have to, but you do, but you do. You keep on coming through, coming through. Sing with me, singing you. Yeah, you. Thank you. Yeah, we're singing to you. Yeah, you. Thank you. Yeah, the people coming through. People like you. People like Reverend Guy. People coming through. Happy birthday, Reverend Guy. Much love, everyone. Happy Sunday. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Jim.